The Agri-weather outlook is sponsored by Excalia fungicide from Valent USA.
Will temperatures rise as the region heads into the heart of January? Here's our Agri-weather outlook.
For much of the month of January, most of the stormy weather in the United States has been in California. And most of us out here in the Midwest Great Plains, it's been fairly quiet. There are signs of a new pattern change. This pattern change will likely gravitate toward a little bit colder weather into especially the far northern plains and some parts of the Great Lakes and Northeast, which have been very, very mild this winter. It does look like many areas of the Midwest are looking at snow, especially toward the second week, toward the latter part of January into February. And the main storm track is going to be poised to change where the really wet weather has been. In other words, one more week, this first week of the forecast will bring rain to California. The second week, late January, will bring relief to the West Coast, and it will put that storm track back into the middle part of the country. So let me show you what's going on. Jet stream pattern right now, quite meandering, and generally speaking, there's not a lot of really Arctic air anywhere in the United States. Even Alaska has really not been having that much of a cold winter. There's kind of cold weather has finally moved into the Northeast, but we're just not seeing that frigid weather, except for that period of time back a little before Christmas. That has mostly been in retreat. Now, there will be a little bit of a low pressure trough forming down here in the southern states that will bring cooler weather south, but it's not attaching itself to the really cold weather this week. Now, as we get toward the end of the period, big stormy system will start building out here. You'll see the weather in California begin to dry out, and this will eventually drop into the last week of the forecast, drop down along the west coast, more of an inland storm, and then likely kick out into the plains, and this southwest to northeast track for next week could be potentially quite wet. Gulf moisture coming in. The colder weather coming down doesn't look like as cold as it was in late January, does not look like as cold as it was back in mid to late December, but it does look like we'll see some pretty cold weather by the end of the month, and there are signs that at least some of February may be quite cold as well. Now, as far as the storm track goes, this week we're still seeing very wet weather along the west coast. California in particular turns into excessive snowfall in the California mountains, the Sierras, and you're getting some pretty appreciable snow into the Rocky Mountains as well. There will likely be one weather system later in the week that will come out of the southern states, bringing some rain pretty far north into the Midwest, and that will likely turn to snow. There may be some of this back into the Great Plains, northern plains in particular, probably not really, really heavy snow. The second week, though, this storm track will likely be more manifested, and there will be potential for snow somewhere in the western edge of the Great Lakes or the northern plains. Showers, thunder showers further south, New England, and the Northeast will finally get some snow, and coastal California will finally get a chance to dry up.